Black Visions TV.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Donisha Prendergast, representing for the third generation of Marley scene. So watch out. Go and bless up yourself, scene. Wake up and live, I say. Rastafari, love. Bless.
Hi, I'd like to introduce you to a special guest that we have on Black Visions TV today. She is the granddaughter of Rita and music legend Bob Marley, and she's here in the UK to promote her new documentary, Rasta, A Soul's Journey. So I'd like to introduce you to Donisha Prendergast.
Nice. Greetings, sister.
Same to you.
Greetings,
How are you?
family. I'm doing good.
How are you enjoying the UK?
Hi, I am enjoying the UK, even though it's cold, naturally. You know, the energies are good. It's a nice vibe so far.
Good. So we want to find out more about the film that you're here to promote.
Yeah.
Why filmmaking? What made you want to go into filmmaking?
I think it was a natural thing. Ever since I've been younger, I've always noticed moments between people, pictures. I've always had a fascination with words and how words move people. So I started out acting when I was about 17 years old, and I've always been writing ever since I was like 11 or 12. So filmmaking was just a natural evolution.
Was it from the acting that you felt that you needed to go into filmmaking, or?
Definitely from the acting, and thought I needed to go into filmmaking because I was an acting major at Howard University in Washington DC for about 2.5 years, and then I went to South Africa with my grandma for a mission called Africa Unite. And while I was there, I was speaking about the importance of the role of the woman. And after I finished speaking, some young women came to me and they said, you know, wow, sister, you speak so powerful, you know, what are you doing? Are you writing books? Are you making films? We want to be a part of what you're doing. And at that time, like I said, I was just an acting major, and I realized that I wasn't happy and I wasn't telling my own story, you know. And so I moved. I transferred from acting into filmmaking, so now I do everything. I direct.
So did you study filmmaking, or did
I studied filmmaking and acting? So, you know, I have a fair perspective on both sides.
Good.
Yeah.
So because you're from a musical family, did you feel pressure to go into music rather than going into acting, or is it something you always wanted to do?
Not necessarily pressured. I mean, people always assume that I can sing. So I do sing a little bit, but it's not something that I'd want to do professionally, because first of all, the music business is business.
Yeah.
You know, and it's too intense. It would require too much of my time, and I have a lot of other things to do, I realize, and there are enough Marleys who sing. So, you know, you don't need another one.
So through this film, we want to understand more about Rasta and what it is, because some people think it's a religion, some people think it's a culture, but as you are part of the Rasta, I would say culture, what would you say to us that it is?
Rasta is not a religion, first of all, because people from many different religions identify with Rasta. Rastafari is a manifestation of the spirit in this time, with the focus of Africa, with the focus of love, with the focus of unity, fairness, justice. Rasta is a way of life. It's how you deal with people. It's how you think, how you live, and what you invest your words in, because we also believe the word is very powerful. And in order for you to truly know Rastafari, you have to know the man Rastafari, who is Haile Selassie the first. Because when we say that we are Rastafarians, we are saying that we are children of his word, soldiers of his word. And his word was, let the hungry be fed, the aged protected, the naked clothed, the sick nourished, and the infants cared for. That's the Rastafari creed. So those things make you Rasta, not the dreadlocks, and not the fact that I don't eat meat, and not the fact that I'm a Marley. Reggae music.
So the fact that you don't eat meat and you have dreads, where does that come from in terms of being a Rasta? Is it just an addition to the culture, or is it something that's always been there from the beginning?
I think it's an evolution of the culture, because I believe that Rasta as a spirit is coming from way back when, coming from Africa, from even before slavery, that rebel movement. You know, it has manifested within this time, but I believe it's coming from back there. in terms of ITA living, natural living, and even smoking marijuana and the dreadlocks, those things were borrowed from Hindu traditions, which is quite interesting, because when Rastafari started to develop in the 1930s and the 40s, there were a whole bunch of Indian indentured laborers who were brought to Jamaica a few years before, when slavery was abolished. And the Indians brought with them these concepts of eating vegetarian, of living good with animals, seeing them as equal, living outside of the city in the mountains, and even smoking marijuana, because they were the ones who brought the ganja plant. And marijuana in India has always been associated with religion, with Hinduism. It was only the holy men, the priests, who were allowed to smoke marijuana. So we borrowed that from them.
Because there are a lot of negative connotations with Rasta when you talk about ganja, marijuana.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that they can say negative about us. What else can you say negative about the Rasta? Apart from we smoke marijuana.
That's very interesting, because I didn't know it came from the India side, because when I watched part of the documentary and you actually went back to India, a lot of people wouldn't know that there are actually Rastas in India, because that was very new to me.
Yeah, and they may not call themselves Rasta, because that might not be the manifestation of the spirit within their culture. Because like I said, Rasta is a culture.
Not a religion.
They're called sadhus. The holy men who live outside of the city, like I said, up high in the mountains. They don't even wear clothes.
Oh wow.
You know, their dreadlocks grow until they sweep the ground, and people come to them to listen, sit at their feet, to hear what the spirits, what the universe is communicating.
So when you was in India, did you see any?
We saw two sadhus who were close by to the city, but still, in all fairness, those weren't the real deal, because then we would have had to journey all the way up into the mountains to find and to see them. There's a celebration called the Kumbela, which happens every couple of years when the stars align, where sadhus from all around India converge by the river Ganges. I'm talking about thousands of people just converging with dreadlocks and ashes across their face, because that is their traditional thing, naked, like all swinging and all. You know, because this is where we're coming from. This is the state that we're coming from. We are just like the earth. We are ash. You know, so yeah, Rastafari is a blend of so many different cultures, but the ideology is set. Africa is the root of humanity. It's also the future.
So that's so much why the connection between Ethiopia and Jamaica is so prominent in the Rasta culture, because that's where I believe that
civilization was born. Yes, but not only that, like I said, Rastafari is Haile Selassie's pre-coronation name. That's his birth name. His given name is Tafari Makonnen. And Ras is like a title. So Ras means head, Tafari means creator. And Haile Selassie, why he's so significant within the context of the Rastafari movement, is number one, the Bible prophesies that the Christ spirit will manifest again, and when he comes back, he will come back in a new name. Haile Selassie is the 225th descendant of King Solomon and Queen Sheba, through the line of David. So Rastafari, in truth, Rastafari the man was a Christian. He was even a priest in the church. Which is why Rastafari is also, that's why it feels like a religion. Because of the way we treat the culture so holy. So many Rastas believe that Haile Selassie is the reincarnation of the Christ spirit within this time. And I can believe that as well, because of what he represented while he was around. So that is why the connection is so strong between Jamaica and Ethiopia. And then the next thing that I must also mention is Marcus Garvey prophesied to look to the east for the crowning of a black king, and you will know your redemption is at hand. And then shortly after, Haile Selassie and Empress Menen were crowned king and queen. And so to the black nation, it was a prophecy fulfilled within this time. You know, so we look towards Ethiopia for our redemption.
So out of all the places that you visited for your documentary, you went to Canada, you were in the UK, you went to India and Africa. Where was the place that you felt more inspired, or you felt like you got more information about the Rasta culture?
Where do I feel I get the most information about the Rasta culture? I can't identify one specific place, because every place I went to, I picked up bits and pieces, and as I traveled, they connected and made more sense. You know, so everywhere was equal in what they gave. In South Africa, I was able to stay with a Rasta community in a community called Naisna, where they are living Rasta. They're planting their own food. They have their own schools. They school their children on their own curriculum that they've written. And then the next thing is Rastafari is sometimes very divided. Because there are different mansions of Rastafari. You have the 12 tribes of Israel, the Ethiopian Orthodox, the Bobo Shanti, the Nyabingi. I know it's a lot to take in, but usually there is this discord between them. But within this community in South Africa, everybody was living and working together. And that's what I consider true Rasta. And they're doing work with the elders, with the children, with the homeless. They're not just wearing the dreads and smoking the ganja and eating ital. They're doing the work. And that is what is so important within Rastafari.
So why did you decide to do this documentary if you were already raised Rasta and you claimed to be a Rasta before? What made you want to go and explore it more?
Well, Patricia Scarlett, who is the executive producer of the documentary, she produced a documentary in Jamaica called Rastafari Then and Now. And she was looking to do a documentary that told Rastafari from a global perspective, and she needed someone to help her tell the story. She heard about the work that I was doing in Jamaica and contacted me and shared her insight, and it was a great story to go around the world to understand Rastafari. But even greater than a story, it was something divinely ordered, because I believe at that time when I began the documentary, I was searching too, trying to understand and trying to grab onto a lot of things, you know. Because like I said, I grew up in a Rasta family. I grew up in the primary Rasta family, as far as some people are concerned, but that's not the truth. You know, Bob Marley was a Rasta man, but he was not the best Rasta man out there. So it would be unfair for me to limit my knowledge and perspective of Rastafari to my grandfather. So I had to search more. And within searching more, I've discovered so much about Rastafari, so much about myself, and even so much about my grandfather that I would not have been able to know if I had not done this documentary.
Growing up, did you know you was part of such a prominent family?
Yeah, I always knew. I never really understood it. I guess as I get old and people's reactions to me is what made me realize that I was different, because I never considered myself different, but people would always treat me differently than they treat other people. Sometimes that was unfair. Many times it's unfair because people judge right away before they even know you. You know, like I've had somebody tell me, you know, Donisha, before I met you, I just assumed that you were a complete bitch.
Wow.
And you know, the question is like, why? She's like, I don't know, because you know, you're from the Marley family, and I guess your family have money and you get to travel all over the world, so you don't really, you know, you're almost not real.
Wow.
And that made me think a lot. I don't want people to ever consider me a celebrity or anything like that, because those things keep us divided, you know. And Bob Marley was only a celebrity because the world gave him that title. He was a man, and he was a Rasta man at that, and Rasta don't really deal with celebrity. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we just have to be real. And with a platform like this that my grandfather and my grandmother have afforded me, I have to use it for the best. Because one day I want to have youths too. And I have brothers and sisters. I have a whole string of cousins coming up behind me. I don't want them to have a wrong understanding of who they are within this time. They're not celebrities. They're soldiers. And that's what it is.
So based on this documentary, you said that you wanted to somehow get it into schools and colleges and into the curriculum. Why do you think that it needs to be taught into schools?
Because there's too much misunderstanding and miseducation about Rastafari on many levels. I want to get it into the schools and community centers, but I also want to get it into the judges' chambers, into the police stations, you know, into the hospitals, because those are the spaces where Rastafari are downtrodden the most. Because of misunderstanding. And one primary thing is the ganja. Like I said, the ganja is the only reason why you can fight Rasta. But the reason why they outlawed ganja is because before the ganja, there was no way for the black man to make money in Jamaica. Let's look at the history of it. Slavery was abolished in the late 1800s. Early 1900s, the Indian indentured laborers were brought in. So they took the positions of the slaves, but were paid minimal money. The slaves didn't have a plan. So they were just in Jamaica suffering and trying to find a way out. When the Indians brought the ganja seed and started to farm the ganja seed for themselves, and the slaves became aware of the power of the ganja seed and started to farm it with them, they became friends. They started to get money because people started to buy the ganja. This was the first time in history that the black man in Jamaica was able to make money, and it was through farming ganja. Before that time, ganja was not illegal. It was even recommended by colonial scientists to say, listen, allow the Indians to grow them ganja because it keeps them leveled, it keeps them balanced. You know? But what happened when the black man started to smoke it is that he started to get revelations and started to decide, say, yo, we can do our own thing, we can build our own communities, and that was frightening to the government. And so they said, all right, outlawed. The Indians could still smoke it, but the black man could not smoke it. So we need to re-educate our people about these things.
So now you're working, or you've finished working on another documentary that you're doing, 50 Days in Africa.
Yes.
What made you want to do another documentary based around Africa?
My life's work is going to be based around Africa. I observed that already.
Do you have plans to move there? Possibly?
I actually do, you know. Well, after this trip to Africa recently with 50 Days in Africa, I spent some time with my grandma in Ghana. She's been living there for almost 12 years now, and the work that she's doing there is so important, but she's doing it by herself. And I've been seriously considering to move to Ghana to strengthen that work, and also to try to open up more airways, gateways between Africa and Jamaica, because it's necessary. There is no direct flight between Africa and Jamaica, and it only takes 7 hours directly to fly from Jamaica to Ghana.
So which route do they take?
We have to come through England.
Wow.
And then to the US, and then to Jamaica.
Wow.
So you have to get 2 visas. 2 times to stop you. 2 times more money when you could just spend 1 money and come. You know? So the reason why I did 50 Days in Africa is because I wanted to show a different perspective of Africa. I wanted to show what was actually happening on the ground from the perspective of a young person, from 3 young persons, and also to show the potential of the creative industries in contributing to the economy of a country. Because this was Jamaica's 50th year of independence, and none of our political leaders went to Africa, which is fine, but somebody needed to go. And so we went, and we spent 50 days to see how we could gain more independence.
So which countries did you go to within Africa?
We went to Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Tanzania.
So which one out of those would you preferably like to live in, or which was your favorite?
Ghana. I liked Kenya because it was very familiar. Kenya was a lot like New York, you know, hip and cool and, you know, fly. Nigeria was very business, you know, very fast-paced, very cultural at the same time. People were still wearing their traditional clothes, and that was great to see. You know, Ghana feels a lot like Jamaica because a lot of the Africans who were brought over as slaves were brought from Ghana and Nigeria. So it feels very much like home. Ethiopia is a very mystic place, very holy. Everybody's praying, nobody shouts, everybody talks in whispers. You know, it's a very, holy place. South Africa.
My auntie just moved to South Africa. She loves it.
She loves it.
She's been there for 2 years. My uncle's been there for a couple of years as well. And I'm going to go next year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. See, that's what I want to hear. Whenever we have an opportunity to take a trip, why not plan for Africa? Do your research.
It's one place that I want to go to. My mum went to Kenya as well. She fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And my best friend's from Uganda. My other best friend's from Ghana. So I have a lot of different people around me, and it's somewhere that I said I have to go before I go. I need to go to Africa.
Good.
Yeah.
I like to hear that.
Yeah. Because I feel like I need to connect. Because sometimes when you're brought up by Caribbean parents, there's this misconnects that you don't have, and the only way you can connect really is through doing your own research or education. But I actually want to go there and experience it for myself, and not just go by what the media tells us, because the media is giving us a false perception of what Africa is.
And when you go over, document from your perspective, because like I say, I wanted to document from a young person's perspective, because most times when we hear about Africa, It's the children that are hungry.
Yeah.
It's the animals. It's the war. It's the shooting. But there's so much business. There's so much art. There's so much culture. There's so much other life. Like I tell you, we could be sitting somewhere in Africa right now.
Yeah.
You could be Ethiopian. I could be Ethiopian.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what I'm saying. There's no difference between us, Aya, outside of the media. So we have to use tools like this to do the right thing and to tell our story. You know what I mean? Black visions. That's where it is.
What would you say is your story?
My story. My story has been a very interesting story. Up and down. I've had a lot of positive encounters in my life. I've had a lot of negative things happen to me. But through it all, I realized that God, Jah, Yahweh, Allah, however people identify him or the spirits, has a plan for me.
Okay.
Has set out a route for me. You know, so I realized that whenever I have deja vu, it's because I'm on the right path. It's just showing me, yeah, you're in sync with what you should be doing, or where you should be right now. You know, so my story is a story about a girl who grew up in Jamaica and struggled with her identity for a little while, even within the context of having so many people around her. Had to choose between being a false person or just being me and being real. And I just chose to be real. And yeah.
What would you say is your next chapter? What do you want to do in the future?
Oh, my next chapter? I feel like my career is advancing right now, is moving right now. A lot of doors are being opened up. I want to do some more acting because I haven't been doing a lot of acting since I've done this documentary. I want to...
More small films, or do you want to go to the big screen?
Both. Small and big screen, but I think that I'm going to have to do some writing too.
Okay.
For myself, because the Rasta woman story has never been told on film.
Okay.
And that's one of my intentions, to be that one, to tell that Rasta story on film. And I will be that Rasta woman. And I want to have some kids, some little babies running around the place. You know, the fulfillment of being a woman. I want to know that too. That will come. But whenever we think about the future, I think about that. People think about money and people think about where they want to travel, and all of those things are great. But I want to have a family so that when all of that is done, you know, I have mine.
So what's the one thing that you want people to know about Rasta and Rastafaris? What is the one thing that you want that people, whenever they think of Rasta, they associate with it?
Rasta lives in you. Rasta lives in all of us, because all of us want to be able to be free to just be us. All of us need to know our spirit, to identify with that. None of us need to feel brave enough to love openly. You know, love strangers, love friends, love your enemies, and give yourself that. Sometimes we can't give it, sometimes we just have to discover it. Discover the courage inside of you to be brave enough to have integrity, because to have integrity is a very hard thing.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I want people to take away. Be open to know yourself, and to know that there's a Rasta living inside of you, whether you can grow locks or not. Do your research. No matter the color of your skin, it's the content of your heart. You know? And listen deeper to the music. Don't just dance to it. Listen deeper to the music, because there are some serious messages in the music that are waiting for you to hear them. You know?
Do you feel like you're living out your grandfather's messages that he had in his music through the work that you're doing?
Yeah, the messages are definitely living now in me. And at the same time, I'm walking. I don't know if I'm walking in his footsteps. I don't know if I can. As a matter of fact, I can't, and I won't even try. I'll walk beside him then, because we're on the same journey. We're on the same mission. You know? So, yeah, he's holding my hand along this entire way. I know that for sure, and I give thanks for that.
So, your grandfather, Bob Marley, was featured in your documentary through clips and sound bites. How did you get the clearance for the footage that you had and the clips? Or was it hard to source the footage that you had?
Well, it wasn't hard to source the footage because there's so much information out there, even on YouTube and Google, about my grandfather. In terms of clearance, we didn't necessarily get clearance for the clips. What we did is use something called fair share, which is you use I think it's somewhere under 30 seconds or under 23 seconds of the footage, and it's okay. So because there is a Bob Marley documentary out right now, so it would have been a conflict to use too much of his footage. And then the next thing is that the film isn't just about Bob Marley.
Yes.
But you can't tell a Rasta story without talking about him.
Okay.
And he's my grandfather. I mean, I should have rights to talk about him freely. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the production was, even though we had trouble finding financing, we did have some good support from a few private investors. I must give a special big up to Slate Communications, as well as City TV, who was the primary funder. City TV, Slate Communications, and of course Patricia Scarlett, who, like I said, invested a lot of funding, a lot of time into it. So we give thanks for all of those who did help us to get this far.
And what's next for Rasta A Soul's journey?
Rasta A Soul's journey, what is next for us? Many things, Earlier this year we had the opportunity of being at the Royal Ontario Museum, otherwise known as the ROM in Toronto. And we had the whole month of Black History, which is February, to do programming. So we will hopefully be doing another series of Black History Month programming, maybe not at the ROM, but somewhere else, as well as screening the documentary every and anywhere that is possible. So
where would you like to see it go?
Like I tell you, into the schools, into the police stations. I still haven't screened it in Jamaica yet, which is kind of surprising, but I don't know, we have to work with the timing of Jah, whatever he says. So
what do you think the response would be like when you go to Jamaica and you screen it?
I think it would be quite interesting because Jamaicans know a lot about Rasta. Well, the Rastas in Jamaica know a lot about Rasta, but they have never really seen it from a global perspective because many Rastas in Jamaica don't really get to travel. So I think it would be a good thing. And I'm looking forward to the constructive criticism as well, because I think it's very important for us to be open to constructive criticism. And I even observed that I have evolved from that documentary. There are certain things that I would have included. No. Maybe there are certain things I would have taken out. No. But everybody's on their journey, and it just leaves space for a follow-up documentary. Maybe not a Rasta Soul's journey too, but something else about Rastafari.
Like you said, maybe the Rasta woman. And in terms of putting this documentary together, how long did it take you to film the documentary, and how was it getting funding for this?
Well, it took us 4 years to travel and to actually do the filming, but in total about 8 years of production. The executive producer, Patricia Scarlett, like I said, it was her vision that started this whole thing, and she has really been the one behind it, who has invested so much and who has found the sponsors. It has not been easy because telling a Rasta story, first of all, people have a negative idea of Rasta. They don't really understand it. And so the initial reaction was, who wants to hear about Rasta anyway? No. Who is she again? Donisha? Who? That kind of thing. But we persevered. After we did our first set of traveling to Ethiopia, Israel, and South Africa, we put together the website and we put up a few clips, and we said, people around the world, this is what we want to do, but we're having some challenges. Can you donate $5? And tell your friends to donate $5 too. There's a thing in Jamaica that we say, one cocoa, full basket. So if one person gives one, and that was the name of the campaign, one cocoa, full basket. And it full of baskets. We raised about $15,000 enough for us to start traveling again and to start moving. So we give thanks to all the brothers and sisters who donated to help us to finish this production.
So there was no outside investors that were interested?
We did get some support from City TV, which is a local Canadian television station, from the another fund in Canada, and one or two people, but it was over a long period of time. Like I said, it took us 8 years in total for the production. 4 years of traveling, but 8 years in total. So Patricia Scarlett, the director Stuart Samuels, Marilyn Gray, who is also a co-producer, all worked really hard to get it done together.
Why do you think that a lot of people weren't really interested in investing? Was it because you were kind of telling Rasta for what it is and not so much of what people already perceive it to be?
Well, at that time they didn't really know what the story was going to be about. They just know it's going to be a Rasta story, and with this girl named Donisha as the guide. And then also at that time, the time when the documentary was just finished and we were looking for distributors, etc., the Marley film came out.
Okay.
And so the Marley film was almost positioned as competition in certain spaces. For instance, film festivals that we had submitted to from long before. Once the Marley film came out, they just kind of called us and said, hey, sorry, you know, but that hasn't stopped us, because it's cool if we don't get to be on your big screens. We get to be on the screens with the community centers and with people who really want to hear our story, and that's who we really did it for, you know, the people with the interest. So yeah.
Would you like to take it into the big screens and cinemas?
Absolutely, of course, you know, to get a wider audience, because everybody needs to hear the story, everybody needs to hear the message. I may have been the guide, but it's the message that is important. It's the information within the documentary that is so moving and revolutionary. You know, I'm just the messenger. So I would love to get it into the big screens all over the world. If people are interested, contact us on our Facebook, on our website, and let's make it happen. You know,
where have you screened it so far, other than the UK?
We've screened it in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, all in Canada. We've screened it I screened it in Kenya while I was there recently. We screened it in Japan earlier this year. We had a screening on the Peace Boat. Okay. And the Peace Boat is an initiative I did in October, where after 50 days in Africa, I met them in a small island off the coast of Spain, and I traveled across the Atlantic Ocean for 10 days, lecturing about Rastafari, about reggae music, about Jamaica, and about my grandfather's legacy and one love. That was an amazing experience for me, being in that capacity and also lecturing to a group of 500 Japanese people who don't speak my first language, you know. So
what was the connection like?
It was amazing because there were old people, like people in their 80s, people as young as 6 and 7 sitting in the audience just listening because they really wanted to learn about it, you know. The Japanese people have an amazing connection with Jamaica, and my grandfather identified it when he went to Japan. He was like, Ja, Panis, Ja, Jamaican, Ja is at the front of it, you know, so there must be a connection, is at least through Ja.
What, have you had different reactions from different countries that you've been to, or they have near enough been the same reaction from the audience?
We have had different reactions, but the reactions generally are pretty much the same, which is for the old people, this is kind of nostalgic for them, because they grew up in a time where reggae music was just coming forward and they were just understanding about Rastafari. But for some of them it's very revelatory, is that the word? For some of them it was a revelation, because many of them didn't really understand the trials and the tribulations that Rastafari had to go through during the time when reggae music was so popular and people were dancing. Rastas were still suffering, and some of these older people were the ones who were projecting this suffering on them too, you know. And for the younger people it's very eye-opening, because they want to understand what is this Rasta thing, because they wear the dreadlocks, they smoke the weed, they love the reggae music, but they don't really understand the mission, they don't really understand the culture, they don't understand the essence of it, you know. So yeah.
Do you think there's a fashion as such to be a Rasta, but just by the looks and not so much as what the culture is? Because a lot of people wear dreads and they claim to be Rasta, but they don't follow the culture of what it is.
You know, I try not to discriminate and I try not to be judgmental, because everybody's on their journey. What I will say is that Rasta has evolved to a place where people can identify with it, but they choose not to identify with everything.
Okay.
Which is okay, because guess what? If you identify with some of it, that means that there is more that you can discover about yourself and about it, you know. So, for the ones who do have dreadlocks and don't necessarily follow along the principles of Rastafari, it is up to them to decide to learn more and embrace more, because they've already started on the journey.
So in terms of charity work, what kind of charities have you worked with? Do you have your own foundation, or are you thinking about opening your own foundation?
Definitely. I don't know if I believe in the word charity so much because of the way that people have used and abused it. I believe in responsibility. And it is my responsibility as someone who is able to do certain things to do them. And I identify that. So I'm a director of a foundation, an organization in Jamaica called Manifesto Jamaica. And it's an organization of people all under 30 with the intention to work with inner city youths, using art as a medium for healing and as a medium for violence mitigation between communities. Because what we identify is that a man like Bob Marley come from the ghetto. How many more Bob Marleys are there in the ghettos who just don't have the tools or don't have the access to do certain things? So we, as the ones who are educated and have certain access and certain knowledge and a certain amount of heart and vision, we've just come together to do works. We've been doing it for about 3 years now. The government has not really invested in us, nor has private Jamaica, but it's just a matter of time, because what we're doing is important work. You know? So Manifesto Jamaica, you can also check us out on Facebook, Manifesto Jamaica.
And also you visited the Shashamane village. Sorry, I got the
No, it's okay. It's
Shashamane village. What work do you think needs to be done within that community?
A lot of work. There has been a lot of foundations that have already been laid. For instance, there is a health center, a hospital center that is there. Also the school that has been operating for the past 15, 20 years. Need basic things. Basic things like computers, chairs, tables, books for the kids, you know, socks, something as simple as that. But more than those physical things, what we need is minds to come and to invest their knowledge, plant seeds, and so that it can grow trees to feed more knowledge to others, you know. So Shashamane has a lot of promise, because it is the land that Haile Selassie I gave to us to inhabit, and not just Rastas, but black people from all across the world, all of the children who were lost in the diaspora. He gave us a place to call home, and we just haven't come to inherit that land.
Why do you think that is?
Fair. Who wants to go to Africa, and Africa is so backward? That's the thought. You know, we're okay where we are in the UK and in the US and in Jamaica. We don't need to go over there. But remember that we were stolen from Africa. We were only born in this place, but our root, our history is in Africa. You know, so it is very important for us to go and to observe who we are within the space of Africa. Remember, because there's something within our DNA that keeps our memory active. And we don't know. Sometimes you have to put yourself in the space of it to know it, to feel it. That's why my grandfather said, who feels it knows it, Lord. Who feels it knows it. You know, so it's essential for all of us. You don't have to be in Ethiopia. Just choose a country in Africa and go. You know? Yeah, man, just...
The first time you went to Africa, did you feel a connection?
I did. The first time I went to Africa, that's kind of amazing, because it was around my birthday time. December the 29th is my birthday. I went to Ghana for the first time with my grandma. My uncles were doing a concert. And this is kind of a funny story. Okay. So it's my birthday, and me and my aunt, who is my grandma's youngest daughter, Rita, we always used to dance. We used to be the backstage, side stage dancers. Backstage, side stage dancers of Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. And so the last song comes on, could you be loved and be loved? And so we come on and we're doing our thing, and hey, and then there's a part where we like do a twist, and then we do a split, and we jump up, and then we go back into our dance, and I turn around and I do the split, and Sarita jumps up and she's back, and I do the split. And I did the split. There was no jumping up. I don't know what happened, but I'm on the stage in a split, and Uncle Ziggy comes over to me and he's like, yo, wagwan, you know, get up. And I'm like, no, Uncle Zig, this is a part of it. This is a part of the dance. And everybody finished the song and left me on the stage, still in my split, and I just kind of curled up and just walked off the stage. And, you know, everybody was laughing for months. But that was my first experience of Africa. But it was cool. You know, even though it was embarrassing for a moment, it's cool to reflect on it now. So, yeah, I did feel a connection with the ground of the stage.
One thing I also learned about you is kind of a personal thing for me, that you actually sang on the theme tune of Arthur in the background.
Yes. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day when people learn to work and play and get along with each other. Hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Hey, what a
Because I grew up watching that, and that was one of my favourite things, was the theme tune. Forget the cartoon, it was the theme tune. We loved it.
Yes, that was really fun recording. That was my first time working in studio with my uncles, you know. We always see them on stage, but it was really cool. Yeah, and I would love to record some more kids songs, you know.
Have you thought about doing your own kind of, because over here, I don't know if you heard about it, we had Rasta Mouse, which was a cartoon.
Oh yes, I did hear about Rasta Mouse. He's kind of cool.
Would you ever think about doing your own cartoon or series?
Definitely. I love watching cartoons, and I think that is the way to get in cool with the kids. You know, use the cartoons, use the tools that they know to educate them. So I would love to.
And talking about Rasta Mouse, there was a lot of controversy in this country about that cartoon, because a lot of people have the negative connotations with Rasta, and over here a lot of people were saying they didn't want their children to watch a program like that because they felt like they'd be more influenced into the Rasta culture. So what would your kind of thoughts be on that?
I said great, because the kids them need to be more influenced by the Rasta culture. Straight up, the culture that them taking in right now is all destructive. All destructive, all of this cable TV and all of this bull foolishness, you know. Rastafari is just educational. Straight up. So yeah man, Rasta mouse to the world, we say. I don't necessarily agree with a Rasta mouse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah.
Where can people find the documentary if they want to watch it? Or
alright. You can go to our website. It's www.rastajourney.com. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Rasta A Soul's Journey. Twitter @RastaMovie. And Instagram, Rasta A Soul's Journey. Just Rasta A Soul's Journey. And do good works. Wherever it takes you, however you want to do it, like follow your heart and your visions, and these things called ideas and visions, they're not of us. They're of the universe that have come to us to manifest them because they need to be here. So whenever you find you have a vision that won't let you sleep, it needs to be manifested in this time, in this now. That's why it came to you. See? So believe in your visions, believe in yourself, and Rastafari is the future. So try and know him soon. Yeah?
thank you.
Black Visions TV.